first thing I thought that we could maybe talk about is the dialogue, because there is something new that's happened.
Oh,
which is it's rolled around to January, so the trading post items have come out, and then people put them on, and I don't know why people did this. Maybe they had a hunch. Maybe the secret finders are all just in cahoots with Blizzard, but there's some dialogue found when you specifically
I have
wear
seen this.
these.
This is very cool.
Yeah, so thanks to Wohead for the presentation of this. It made it very easy to see.
It still cracks me up that it's called Seatheris.
Yeah.
It's just like, yes, Sargeras, you were very pent up and frustrated and seething for a very long time. But yes, if you wear these weapons, things happen.
Yeah, so there's the Twilight Cultist in Zotth, and if you go to speak to him with any of the weapons, actually it's literally dialogue, and this is transmogged on, you don't have to actually wear them, which I think is very, very cool.
Yep.
Because it is, like, obviously dialogue teasing the future. It is genuinely foreshadowing, and it's not, like, super major, but it's cool. It's fun. It's a nice little reward. And, as always, it does give us a little bit of opportunity to talk about Blizzard setting up expectations and potentially playing with them, because that's the fun thing. We have no idea how the story is going to go in the next couple expansions, and it could go any number of ways. And this is good at teasing us that it can go different ways.
So let's just plow straight in. So if you've got Gorodar or Seatheris, which are replicas of Sargeras' big sword that he left in the sand, the Twilight Hermit says, that weapon you hold, you should not have brought it here. I warned you before that the end times are coming. That weapon you wield proves it. So clearly he knows something about the trading post that we don't. It emanates the same energies that coursed through the Dark Titan's blade. Why did he strike this place? He was far too masterful a tactician to choose his target by chance. His crusade sought to eradicate all life from existence. Do you think his final act before being captured by the Pantheon would not be in service to that goal? Tread carefully, lest you inadvertently find yourself serving the same cause.
Interesting.
Wow. So, Matt, what if you are the war within? Okay, right. So this Twilight Hermit NPC had been used for loads of teasing in the past. I don't believe he's the... Oh, do you remember the the ogre character?
Yes, I remember.
That was all fun before BFA. Anyhow, basically, this is saying, what if did that for sort of, on purpose. Now, the whole thing that people for the longest time had thought was that basically, and I mean, you even called it Seatheris. Was basically that he was just kind of like, fuck you, you can't have her anyway. That's what everybody thought. Mm-hmm. It's kind of how it was, communicated. There's the whole, he sort of locks eyes with Azeroth after the War of the Ancients, and then becomes very infatuated with this planet. Yeah, so it's a shame it's called like Gorodar instead of like Copadar or something, because then you could say he's seething and coping, which would be really funny. But yeah, what this kind of says is, or what implies at least from this cultist perspective, is that he did strike to kill. He aimed to kill her. He wants to eradicate all life from existence, kill Azeroth. I'm sure that'll kill everything. If Azeroth is dead, there's no way that life on Azeroth would survive, ostensibly, right? So I imagine that's what this guy is saying specifically, as opposed to him, being a massive simp. So the thing about like my head being scrambled is I immediately thought, okay. In what roundabout way could this help his plan? You're just like, no, he tried to kill her with the sword. That's why he stabbed it. That's the story. Stop speculating, dickhead. And that does make a lot more sense. I'm not saying to stop speculating, because obviously this comes from a pretty unreliable narrator as a character. Bollocks, he knows what's up. But at the same time, it's very clear. It's very clear. Hello, everyone. Believe me or believe me not, he tried to kill her. Shut up. Is kind of what this might be saying a little bit. So there is also... Even the way he said, do you think it would not be in service to that goal? Yeah. It's just that way of like, the final thing to win, that doesn't feel like, in service to that goal. That means that this step is in service to the wider goal. Which kill Azeroth, everything ends. And it almost makes me think that in the opinion of this particular character. Actually, there's another story that happened just because I'm thinking about this being, a narrative, or sorry, this is the perspective of a character. There was a new publication.
Publication?
Yeah, a new Blizzard book came out, Codex of Dragonflight.
Oh, yeah.
All that I saw was a PC Gamer article talking about tweets from the usual suspects. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll have something to look into there. But anyway, no, I have to imagine, yes, there is the very overt, he just tried to kill her. And hey, would it not be good if the big sword won? But you could then maybe also wonder, is there anything else to that? Also, if he's such a masterful tactician, how did he know about the jailer?
Yeah. So...
Matt, this is, I don't know about you. This is my first mention of Zoval in the new year.
I hadn't even thought about it.
I lasted 5 days. How many Zoval 2024 cherries have I just popped? How many of you thought about Zoval over the last 5 days? I'm so sorry.
I sure didn't. Thanks, fucko.
Me too. That's why it was a good holiday. And to signify the return to normal life, your boy's back. Yes. So yeah, I don't really know. Yes, there's the just killer, but also are there any second order effects?
So yes, and I'll tell you why. Because there's the bit of the thing that changed. He stopped talking, or he changed his dialogue when the sword struck. He just go, "This is a long, long, long time ago." But he did say the whispers ceased speaking to me on that day the wound opened. So, because someone in chat actually reminded me, someone there said maybe he stabbed and killed Cthulhu. Yeah, as Crylator said, do you think Sargeras stabbed Zotth to destroy Cthulhu and be the good guy to save us from Xal'atath's plan to catch them all? I'm not sure about the save us from Xal'atath's plan, although they are definitely going to be ideologically opposed. But obviously, if something shut up after it got stabbed, well, that implies he killed something that was doing a bit of whispering, which you could imply would be the remnants of Cthulhu, or something along those lines.
I'm just saying, when did Illyria's whispers start up again?
They started after N'Zoth's dead. N'Zoth's death.
I'm out by one expansion. Whoops.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, please lower your weapon. I mean you no harm. The whispers ceased speaking to me on the day the wound opened. Sorry, which NPC is that?
This is the same guy.
And now he's saying this again.
Yeah, so he said this after the thing got stabbed.
Yeah, he says that at the end of Legion.
Yeah.
The goat, I can see it in your eyes. You have seen the vision, the goat, the pool, drowning in icy blackness. Does this sound familiar? I can tell you its meaning. It means we are fast closing in the end of the world, friend.
So this was all leading into BFA.
So goats.
Yeah, it was all BFA era stuff.
Yeah. Goat. People often associate your boy Yasharj with goats.
Yeah.
And many people have. And I can't believe it. This is a harebrained speculation video that we haven't done.
Really?
We've never really got to the point of doing a Yasharj video.
The goat? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because...
it's always been a bit
dead?
Fringe, but it's always felt quite okay, I can sort of...
Because all was left of him was a heart, and then Garrosh sucked the juice out of it. Then there was nothing left. Time to go back into that boss room and see exactly what happens.
Then we killed Sargeras. Sorry.
No, we didn't.
Then we killed Garrosh.
That we did, yes.
I will not try to tie it back to the jailer.
No, because Garrosh... no. Yeah. I wouldn't
seriously try to do that.
Yeah. I was going to have a whole lot of thoughts about Garrosh and go did Garrosh bring some semblance of Yasharj back to the past? And then the only sensible voice left in my brain went, would you stop? Would you stop? Clearly, don't worry about it. Clearly don't think about it at all. So I don't know if the goat is Yasharj incapacity or Yasharaj, as he's actually pronounced, which is wrong. It's not written that way. But anyway.
Hey, remember, Nazjatar.
Nazjatar, yes.
Nazjatar. Oh, yes, silly sausages.
So
I suppose I'm just thinking, right? Icy blackness, pools, goats. Obviously, this was the same time everyone was enjoying the secret finding community, Una, which also involved some goat-related business. There's just quite a lot. Now there are those various Yasharas, little rumors, Yasharaj rumors and things that people have. I don't know, because, what he basically, the last time we talked to him, this time, he talks about all these old god-sounding visions, which, look, that's not feeling particularly Zotth.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, like, to be really frank, I'm just like, this is all kind of old stuff, so I'm not too worried about it at this point in time. I'm like, it's fine. If there's a goat that'll show up, like...
Matson's probably not thinking, no, this patch 7.3.5 dialogue has scuppered my entire plot. Anyway, so point is, he thinks the world's about to end. Now, the Doomsayer dialogue, the Doomsayer pamphlets and all that stuff was really cool. And I'm actually kind of frustrated because I think about it was either last year or the year before that. Who really knows? It's all a blur. But we did a video on that. I remember Jared just came to me in the office one day. He's like, "Hey, Doomsayers," and he like it was at that stage where he had already cooked quite significantly. So yeah, maybe some of that Doomsayer dialogue could actually be relevant again. Actually, no, it was not last year because it was toward the end of Shadowlands. And it was one of those things where the interpretations are obviously way more cool and interesting than the game we were playing. But anyhow, so he basically thinks that we're fast closing in at the end of the world. And the final thing that he says, if you are using this blade, is tread carefully lest you inadvertently find yourself serving the same cause. Now, that's all kind of interesting because you sort of think about this character. He's he's Twilight Cultist, Twilight Hermit, right? Well, he's been quite cordial to us.
Yeah, Twilight Hermit.
He's been quite cordial. He's been quite nice. He's just saying, hey, by the way, maybe you don't want to end life. So serving that same cause,
ending life.
Who wants to do that? Because Void doesn't want to.
Sargi does. Just Sargi.
Big Sargi does.
Yeah, no one else particularly has that intention that we know of. Which, I guess, how do I put this? We'll talk about it a little bit more once we've seen the other ones, but it definitely feels like we're at the crossroads of there are a lot of different causes bearing down on us, what we end up doing or what we end up achieving will differ depending on who we make allegiances with. Or basically we need to understand what we're actually doing in case we do something wrong. Because in this case, right, we end up killing all of the Void people and just go, well, those guys were purple and we didn't like purple, so they're all dead now. And we go, look, we've just caused a horrible imbalance and now one force is going to win over the other and that'll wipe out everything else. Is I think kind of the thought.
Boo!
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, so I said that in a very cosmic balancey way, but it would be represented in a character way. It would be represented in with Xalatath's plot foiled entirely, that means there's no opposition to Sargeras breaking out of prison and slicing the world in half.
It's like what I want is for that to be like Xalatath as her own whatever the fuck she is.
As character with motivation. Yeah.
Doing things.
Yeah.
That's like I think okay, right. So even, the whole that whole Cosmic Force thing has been really weird because it's like all these charts and graphs and external stuff and people using capitalized words in the middle of sentences that shouldn't be capitalized.
Remember the Blade of Order, whatever it was from the Time Rifts?
Blade of Order. That does serve to it does serve to make things more impersonal.
Yeah.
It's why a lot of this being represented via Xalatath actually wanting to do something that's good because she's a character with motivations and she's kind of got all the things you could want. Seems highly motivated, seemingly has been deeply wronged in the past, has a relationship with the player, has a large place in history and Season of Discovery, it would seem.
We'll talk about that, and don't worry.
Oh yeah. I'm excited because the way we've done it is we've decided to come back to work in low power mode of just let's think some thoughts, and production will begin on the 8th of January, which is in 3 days. But I know Jared has he's been cooking up something about Xalatath. So I'll probably record.
I don't know if he has a video. I know there's a ghost post that's ready to go up over the weekend.
Oh.
So if I remember to hit the button on that, it will be up there.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, basically, seeing Discovery has a lot of Xalatath. We'll cannibalize some of that for today because it is interesting to talk about. Like, Xalatath isn't in the thumbnail for no reason. It is implied that what you say there about it being impersonal and them turning to characters is very apparent. Because I mean, what's even the three we see here, right? Obviously, this. To continue a little bit, to spoil, there's stuff for Sargeras and his weapons. There's stuff for the Titan weapons, the Titan design weapons, and then there's the Voidsong Stave of the Harbinger. So, those will represent, to me, I think, probably the three antagonists we're aware of. We've got Sargeras, who's a bad guy, and he's on break for a minute. We've got Xalatath, the bad guy, who's at the top of all of our, like...
She's not a bad guy.
What?
She's not a bad guy. Shut up.
Shut up.
She's
being framed as a bad guy for now. Let's say that.
That goes against my deeply held personal beliefs.
Yeah, cool. But the feeling is she's a bad guy because she's a bad guy in this. So basically what they've done is they've taken these cosmic forces and they've given them faces. They've given them characters with their own motivations. Because you look at Order and you look at, well, what's Order? It's a Titan. But then you go, well, what did they do in the book in the Emerald Dream? They made Aman'Thul look like an asshole again.
Yep.
But they made him look like an asshole ahead of Aenar and to Aenar, which no longer means, oh, it's the Titans and the force of Order is coming to make everything boring and mechanical. Now it's Aman'Thul's an asshole and he wants his way. Xalatath is someone who apparently has some grand ambition for the world and was wronged and betrayed, so she wants revenge. And Sargeras is a guy who's lost his mind. In a way that's like, lost his mind for a good reason. Mm-hmm. Saw the ultimate doom and became the aggressive, murderous nihilist. The anti-natalist of the universe.
Yes, that's it. In fact, we have the pantheons of the different cosmic orders. What if it is just the mods of a few subreddits? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's r/anti-natalist and anti-work, and that's the whole cosmic order. But, I mean, basically.
Exactly. So what they've done here is they've taken the impersonal cosmic force-led like A-plot that drove us all mad for a couple of years.
Yes, it did.
And now, for a couple of years, I mean, it wasn't too bad. Legion leaned into it a little bit. BFA leaned a little bit too much into it, but it still had N'Zoth and it still had Ashara as characters. But then in Shadowlands, it all went a wee bit, why is this overtly the focus? Why is it so clearly the focus at all points in time?
But
now,
the thing is, right, and not to really negate this is in its own little fucking vacuum, and then we are moving away from the Shadowlands. Look, I don't want to sit here and say I wish the Shadowlands had more cosmic orders in it, but actually, what if it actually told a story instead of had us do things about sigils?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it could have made some of that good, but instead, it was just fucking lazy MacGuffin bullshit. But anyway, yes, I mean, you're right. I think there's almost a statement of intent in the cinematic, mm-hmm. right? Because the cinematic is more, here are characters and real motivations. Imagine if the guy who wrote that cinematic turned around and made it just be, it's the Cosmic Order chart trying to kill each other. And I like how sort of amidst all of those things, you've got kind of Ashara floating about. It's funny, like War Within, I don't want to say like War Within is, victim of the old era, but, War Within is, it is what it is. I don't know what, no, we haven't seen any of it.
It's going to be Act 1, right? That's the thing.
The thing that's, I guess, in my head is, Midnight looks really, really, really cool. Because Midnight's the one that's like, hey, here are all those bits of Warcraft 3 you liked, and all your bits of this and that. Oh, they're all here. And then the next expansion's like, that other bit of Warcraft 3 you liked? There you go, have that. Where I don't know. I just think it's telling in how things are kind of like constructed and set up that, we do have this one expansion that obviously would have been in many parts planned like ages ago. And before you had the big Metzen return, because I think he returned for consulting, but then, well, it's that thing. How much was he always back? And how much does that sort of correlate to, Blizzard continually re-announcing, hey, we've just given Metzen another senior title, posts that they did multiple times last year. I did kind of hear from like people in the know that it was quite a like, hey Chris, what's going on? What do you think? But that's old information, and it really does seem like he's a lot more involved. So I suppose War Within will have been.
We have a quote from an interview that will actually help that out.
Oh, good. Because some things I've heard, like War Within, many parts of that were sort of already, on their way. Mm-hmm. And this sort of new era with the WoW team is kind of taking everything that they've got and then doing actual long-range planning, making that actually go somewhere. So War Within, in the same way, Dragonflight, it was a result of many lessons from Shadowlands. I think War Within will be, that. I then think like Midnight onwards is where we start to see the like newer and newer and newer vision for things. And I still have to wonder, like they say there's some feature in Midnight that will blow people's minds. That's that quote, by the way. That's not me being like, do you remember the reviews for Titanfall? I think of it, was it just IGN believe the hype? I'm not doing that.
God, Titanfall 2 is good. Anyway,
what a game.
I should replay it again.
So we've gone as far as the first one.
Yeah, we've got not very far. I just want to say, Zervin said the War Within seems like an expansion-sized prologue for Midnight and the Last Titan. It's going to feel that way to us now, and I did just say the War Within feels like it's going to be like an Act 1 to Midnight's Act 2 and War Within's Act 3, but I imagine as soon as we actually see things happen, it'll change. It's literally because they haven't told us stuff happens. When it's like it's an expansion, it has to have a beginning, middle, and end. So I think things definitely will happen, but yeah, there'll be that vibe until we see it through. They definitely have a lot of like the first chunks of the War Within and the epilogues to Dragonflight have a lot of work to do to like actually, start the sprint that is the next two expansions. But
well, hey, like we've just seen Darkheart. Like I saw Darkheart and I kind of went, ooh, cool.
Yeah, more or less the same.
And for our next thing, though, we've got Tesevere and Mythorus, which are titanic weapons. So when we bring these weapons to our Twilight Hermit, the Twilight Hermit says, the blade you hold, it profanes this place. To bring a weapon like that here is to invite destruction. The Titans care only about their precious order. They would sacrifice anything to achieve it, including their own followers. Even the Dark Titan had a pattern to his actions, a cold logic intended to impose his perfect vision and the willingness to eradicate existence if he could not achieve his ends. Do you think the rest of his kind are any different? Only in method, not in goal. Be careful that you do not blindly become a part of their plan. Now, I want to just contrast our two ending statements of tread carefully lest you inadvertently find yourself serving the same cause, and be careful you don't blindly become part of their plan.
Man, they were so close to being full score on the thesaurus, but they reused carefully and careful.
Tread warily!
Yeah, if that was like be wary or be vigilant, then we would have full score on the you've said the same thing but with different words.
Where's our Booker Prize? Where's our Booker Prize for big, small words? I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think is interesting. It is literally two sides of the same coin of they're both bastards that want to use you for a reason. Don't just serve that reason. Try to be your own thing in the middle of it all.
I mean, this is, the popular clicker game about the paper clips. It's also a kind of that clicker game about the paper clips is an extrapolation of a thought experiment of like, what if you made an AI and you gave that AI, one goal? It's like, hey, you're the AI running the paperclip factory. Now what happens if that AI ends up getting full control of everything and it tries to turn all of existence into paperclips? And then instead of reality, you have paperclips. They're like, is that Earth? Paperclips. Is that the sun? Paperclips. I don't know if it can just be like, quarks. We will put you in our big quark storage and turn you into paper clips. Who knows? But anyway, It is, and actually, this also, this also ties to Diablo, where the angels of the high heavens are big dickheads. And Tyrael's a good boy, and the reason why Tyrael's a good boy is because it seems that he can actually see a little bit of the greyness. That said, that's also me mostly talking about the Tyrael of Diablo 3. The Tyrael of Diablo 3 is, I think, one that felt a bit different to the Tyrael of Diablo 2. Whereas, like, in 2, it's still more like, big scary. They obviously went with like a more personal story with an arius. An arius, though, is obviously not in the in-group upstairs. It's sort of going, Diablo was going that whole idea of, between the heavens and the hells. Actually, neither are particularly good in that, if the high heavens are kind of ruling all, that actually is going to be turbo terrible oppression.
Extreme's bad.
Extreme's bad. So I suppose they're probably thinking about the Titan thing. It does remind me, actually, this is a video that I first scoped out on the plane to BlizzCon. I should really get around to making it. And I later found some of the Hearthstone. So Hearthstone did a Titan expansion, and there are just really nice card art of basically like vines and shit being destroyed by Aman'Thul. I think it's that, or maybe it's one of the Titans anyway. Anyway, the point basically, I think, with the Titans is... would you say if they win, it's going to be closer to like ecosystem collapse? Life sort of, because their whole thing is life is kind of really tough for the Titans to deal with. In the same way, you're trying to keep your garden good. And you're like, excuse me, Mr. Plant, you have grown in a way that is unpleasing. You shall now be destroyed. I say this after spending part of my Christmas. What?
Christmas?
Christmas.
You've invented a new holiday.
There we go. I was pruning trees with my dad, so there you go. Apparently, I'm sorry to say, but I've followed. Me and my dad have been agents of Aman'Thul with our fucking... Man, they have electric pruners now. You hold the button and the jaws of that pruner just goes... Psh, and destroys what's in it. It's amazing. Anyway, I don't know. If I slip Aman'Thul one of those, we're all fucked. So I wonder, though, this Twilight Cultist is kind of warning us whenever, he sees us with Gorbal. Also then with the Titans, sort of a very similar warning. Because ultimately, he's actually saying that Sargeras is just another Titan. Mm-hmm. He's just... Here's the thing. I knew what the pills meant back whenever I watched The Matrix. And I knew, okay, we got the red pill and we got the blue pill.
Got some new ones as well.
I think there's some other pills. I think there's a purple one. There's a black one as well.
I don't actually know what the other ones are, except for black and white.
I don't know what the Doomer Nihilist pill is.
That's a black pill.
Okay, so I think Sargeras is just a black pill Titan.
He's black pill, yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Big time. He saw no possible good future without eradicating everything. And that's effectively like the ultimate. Obviously, people look at Nihil... like a darker nihilism is to just lie down and die, but
but the thing there, and actually this is where the modern Blizzard team actually has something they can work with, because just think about probabilities, right? Because the point here is that in these very ordered beings, they make their calculus, and whatever happens, but based on that calculus, right? But obviously, theory's only theory. So at some point, they are just going to be like, all right, we believe what we believe with a high enough, sort of degree of certainty, we'll do it. As if it is the only thing that could ever be done. And that's the whole point of the fight with Algalon. So the whole fight with Algalon was basically Algalon being all like, well, you can't beat me because I maths and you die and we need to hit the reset button, sorry. Then you beat him and he's like, oh shit, you violate my maths wrong, you live. And that kind of illustrates, I think, some of the Titan thinking. That's basically the point.
Fuck, I love Gurren Lagann.
And it's, oh man, it's like if you're Blizzard, you're like, okay, we've got all of these things as expressed by a character like Zoval in the Shadowlands, and then we've got what people play during Wrath of the Lich King. We need to make all of this feel like we're fighting Algalon back in the day. And absolutely not like the modern shit. Because all the people, and we get them in the comments all the time, and it's not really their fault, really, because of how sort of poorly the stories have been told recently. The whole, like, Titan's bad. Titans good? Never really. I mean, they were just sort of big godlike beings. I don't know if we ever thought they were good, other than we knew they fought things that we thought were bad. But then Algalon happens, so it's like from midway through Wrath of the Lich King, you know that not only you know that the Titans installed a reset button on the world you're on. That's 2009. Oh, when was...
I think it was 2009, because I was... World War.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like, for the vast majority of World of Warcraft's entire existence, from the perspective of, like, I think most of the lore community, it's always been a bit of, like, some people would say Titan sus, other people would just say, I mean, yeah, maths. That's just how they think. I mean, extreme thinking.
Yeah, a little bit of, like, they did a lot of good, but at the same time, and this is kind of the case of a lot of things and, like, allies stuff, where you're allied, but not to the very end. Like, you get along with the Titans perfectly fine up until a point. And then they say, well, actually, we don't like the way you decorate the planet, so we're going to have to get rid of you. And then you have to have a fight. But in every other way, you can actually be reasonably, like, allied and reasonably motivated to do the same things. In the same way, the enemy of an enemy is a friend. That's always been the Titans kind of vibe. But it came from, I think that might just be from, like, the case of how Titans were, talked about in, like, vanilla. And that was very, they're the mysterious progenitor race or of sorts who, were talked about as gods. And obviously the vast majority of people playing, like, World of Warcraft vanilla and most anything at the time were largely of the opinion that God is good as an idea. I think we're substantially more secular as a society now, like nearly 20 years later. Yeah. And there's a lot more cultural idea of, oh, what if God bad? Because of how media's obviously happened. I mean, you look at anytime there's a Japanese game and you're like, there's a church or a chapel. I wonder who's going to be the bad guy here.
It's the totally not Pope. I guess he'll be my friend.
Yeah, exactly. And that's obviously like a lot of people's initial perspective was they were talked up really well. They were kind of connected to the light in a roundabout way because that's where, like, obviously in hindsight, we know Tyr brought light to humans because he was a good Titanic keeper and like that, like almost a little bit of crossed wires there over Titan's good kind of thing. So like that, I can see where that came, but like you say, you're completely correct in that we knew since we met Algalon that we're not going to be, the credits aren't going to roll and there's not going to be a post-credit scene of us skipping down the road with Alan Philbin like, and we're best friends forever and we all want the same thing. Nothing like that's going to happen. It is going to be, right, well, we're glad everyone else is dead, Amanthil. Let's fight. Let's. This planet's only big enough for one of us.
Totally.
Like it's going to be that.
Sorry, yeah, because we're like, great, all the threats are done. Well, anyway, we want to go and do things, and he'll be like, well, what? No.
Do things?
You don't do.
That's not part of my plan.
No.
Also, it does remind me, we actually have seen a glimpse of what might be, not literally the Titans' planned future, but a similar one.
Oh.
Remember Battle for Azeroth?
Oh, yes.
Remember 8.1? No, 8.2. Remember 8.2? Remember we had Nazjatar? And remember we had
Megajon, yep.
And remember Megajon's King Megajon was walking around going, what if everybody was a robot gnome? And people didn't take that very seriously because it was, gnomes, which was kind of part of the plot of it, or part of the point of it being a little bit goofy, a little bit more side content-y compared to Ashara and Nazjatar and the Eternal Palace. But at the same time, it was like they brought that future back to the time rifts, probably for a reason. Because that's what happens when, because mechanomes, what are mechanomes? They're Titan forged, a few steps removed.
Yeah, I mean,
so
King Mechagon's just he's just a titany gnome.
He's just
he got a bit mad.
Yeah, he's a mini Titan. Yeah. So obviously that would be ultimately, that's what one of the outcomes could be. We're all mechanical and robotic and Titan forged and don't have free will. And I don't know about you, free will's pretty, maybe you don't believe we have it, but I think it's a pretty cool idea at least. If nothing else. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it does bring us to Voidsong.
Voidsong, yep.
Which is called Voidsong, Stave of the Harbinger. Who knows how the people who run the trading post, in fact, got this, considering she's currently at large. But anyway.
She probably doesn't have her staff with her.
So she left it at home, they picked it up.
Yeah.
Your stave whispers to me. Do you have any idea how ancient the weapon you wield is? There's a time when this whole world was ruled by the Black Empire. It was beautiful. The masters bestowed gifts upon the faithful. That stave was one such instrument. It was given to the Harbinger so that one day she might... What? No, I was going to tell them. The orc goes silent, as if chastised by some unseen presence. He was about to spill the beans, but then the blues stopped him.
Madsen turned around and said, "Don't fucking spoil my expansion decade." More or less, yeah. So I think that's very, very interesting.
Pretty feckin' obvious, isn't it? So I suppose the big thing here is who be masters? Because one of the things, I think, Zalatath.
Do you want the answer?
Oh, sure. So basically, right, it is Zalatath, fifth old god. Which is a theory that goes as far back to Blizzard saying, is she a fifth old god? Basically, in the artifact knowledge lore in Legion. Is it that, or is she something else? Because just the way that, it talks about the masters...
Yeah, we don't know what
she is. The Harbinger. Who is the Harbinger? This is, when he says it was given to the Harbinger, is that him saying, I know who the Harbinger is, you know who the Harbinger is, it was given to her? Or
it literally matches her color scheme. Like, it's her.
Yeah, but it's also saying, the Harbinger, as in, a friggin' title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is the Harbinger. We don't know what that means. We don't know what level of power or status she had, outside of being enough to be given a weapon called Voidsong, which is a pretty, as pointed out, it's a pretty cool name.
Pretty cool name.
And it's a very important looking staff. But the thing is that it was literally from... Now, ignore the fact that he's dead and we killed him, but it did come from what might be one of the most powerful entities in World of Warcraft.
Ah, yes. Dementius.
Voidsong is a gift of Dementius bestowed at the height of the Black Empire. Those touched by shadow were drawn to its haunting whispers. So Dementius gave Zalatath this staff so that one day she might something. Which I'm assuming is going to be the, she's going to harbinge the end. Mm. I don't even know if harbinge is a verb. I know harbinge. I know harbinger is a thing, but I don't know harbinge. She's going to bring the end in some capacity. That's obviously the stated goal of Midnight is to bring eternal night to the land via the Sunwell and infusing it with Void or snuffing out, whatever way it works. Who TF was Dementius again? Glad you asked. Dementius is a Void Lord. Dementius is a Void Lord, which is the long spoken of but never really brought to light.
Dementius is a potential humongous lore fumble from the Burning Crusade that thankfully we do have a way around. Yeah, so Dementius is a Void Lord who invaded Karesh, the ethereal homeworld. If you ever wonder why the ethereals are people in bandages, it's because the arcane countermeasures they deployed to stop Dementius's void energy from tearing their planet apart failed, and the arcane magical feedback turned their bodies into pure energy, and they only keep them in with bandages because that looks really cool. Wait, that big dude from Hellfire? Yes. The void elemental we kill in, I can't remember the dungeon, one of the Auchindoun dungeons. That's the Void Lord. We killed him.
But that's fine
However-
because it's only going to be a fraction of them or something. But
Yeah, he was summoned. Basically, that's him summoned into like
Nether Storm, yeah.
the tiniest fraction of his power.
Sorry. Sorry, Doc. I think the war team has dementious. Yeah, so Dementius is the...
Yeah, the dementia would probably help them.
Yeah, exactly. So Dementius is the only Void Lord we know by name.
Yeah.
Now we also know that there's a bit of discontent between old gods and the Void Lords. That was very much hinted at as an interview of maybe they don't have the same goals, which I think is a very good way for that to take.
Do we think that is a relevant interview for our current future going
I think
forward?
it is.
Okay.
I think it is because remember Zalatath being betrayed and torn to pieces? Why would she be betrayed and torn to pieces?
Yeah.
Maybe because she was the harbinger given a staff by Dementius to do something, and maybe whoever tore her to pieces didn't want her to do what she was harbinging. Didn't want to do that, which means she could be basically the threat above the old gods tier.
So that's the thing. Are the masters the old gods of Azeroth at that time, or are the masters Void Lords?
Well, the masters bestowed gifts upon...
It's called Voidsong.
The masters bestowed gifts upon their faithful. The stave is one such instrument, and the stave says a gift of Dementius. So the masters in that case would have been the Void Lords.
So with this, we can basically work out that she is serving them. Maybe if maybe if we're sort of retaining the fifth old god theory back from Legion, is she then the one who... Yeah, so it's like then is she the one who is actually sort of loyal to the plan, whereas the other ones were just kind of going for more personal power and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Is that why she was destroyed? Then we have to wonder, what was she trying to get? What was going on underneath the tomb of Sargeras, which is relevant to me because I plan to write that soon. Because
I don't
underneath...
know if that's super relevant.
Well, here's the thing. So you got the Battle of Catan, which happens at the tomb.
Yeah, Catanth could be relevant, yeah.
And then the whole Catan thing, that's relevant because Catan was name dropped via an NPC in Dragonflight. So it shows they're still thinking about that lore.
Yeah.
There's then the words, basically long before the Titans, long before like just anything happened, there was something of great power underneath the tomb. And clearly many groups from many, periods of time have been in and around the Tomb of Sargeras area. And that's also where Zotth lost a major battle against Yasharj.
Mm-hmm. So...
And she, in weapon form, talking to us, has a lot of opinions back then.
It's interesting because it's hard to know what she, like, if there's anything there now, because obviously the only thing that happened in the Tomb of Sargeras was she goaded the Shadow Priest into killing themselves by trying to absorb Elun's power.
But the thing that
the question is did she know that was going to happen and was playing the fool like she did with Odin, or did she actually try to get a little bit of Elun's power? Well, I don't know if there's too much can be extrapolated from that at the minute, but yeah.
I think Legion is relevant. BFA and Shadowlands are less relevant.
I would only disagree with that because I'm assuming there is a little bit of we have all this on the table, we have to pick it up fresh, as opposed to fuck those expansions ideas. Largely,
yeah.
I think it's almost a little bit too meta gamey to try and think about where which expansions are relevant outside of Shadowlands. I think Shadowlands as a whole is largely dead now. Not in the future. I think after the War Within, after the Last Titan, they'll have to deal with the first one in some capacity. But I think they can just spend the next 4 to 6 years doing this and maybe working on that in the background to try and get something good out of it.
Yeah.
Or find a way to not have to do it. But I think it's the temptation when you're speculating, especially when you're in you're trying to get every single detail possible, is you have to remember that they're very happy to not have to deal with every detail possible. And that's almost even maybe a big hope, because if you're sitting down and you're like, well, we have to weave everything together perfectly, then you're going to be like, well, you're hamstrung by what you have.
You need to pick the bits that will work, and If there are bits that no longer make as much sense, well, they were told by unreliable sources anyway, and also are temporally no longer relevant because it's literally a different time.
Yeah, and Metzen as one, like, obviously he doesn't want to, retcon stuff or play with that too much, because obviously he had to retcon a lot in TBC and no one's happy about it, and he wasn't happy about it. It's a big mistake. But, like, as an example, the Demencius thing, because you go, well, Demencius was a Void Lord and whatever, it's fine. That happened. We killed him. Why'd we kill him? Xal'atath will have one line that says, my staff was given to me by my master. It's a shame what was done to him. And then you go, okay, cool.
I mean, even that's like, just the fact that her staff given by Demencius, that actually means a hell of a lot.
Yeah. So like that's enough to kind of tell the future story going forward without having to be too heavy about it. Obviously, like, Elune is still the sort of Damocles hanging over a lot of lore, I think, in terms of trying to see it to its completion. But the fact that they haven't, like, so much as mentioned her in any of this at all, including in the Emerald Dream patch with the Night Elves, the fact that no one sat around and went, what actually is Elune up to? The fact that no one said that is, and there's a thing, inaction and a lack of information are action and information. The fact that they haven't said shit means that they either want us to not think about it or they don't know what they're doing yet. I assume they have an idea, but it's like, I assume next time we'll hear of Elune, it'll be of, hey, we've figured this out and we're going to tell you what you need to know. Almost in that weird sense of, trust the plan. We've got a plan this time. Trust it, please. We'll mention Elune whenever we know what's going on, or whenever we're ready to know what goes on. But so basically, that's what one of the things and why Xal'atath is one part of why Xal'atath is in the thumbnail for today's video or for today's stream is because all of this stuff is just a little bit of dialogue teasing the future, and it's different, right? Because you look at this, right?
Yeah.
And this is a pretty good contrast. Blah, 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 blah. The goat, the pool, dragon, the icy. What the fuck is any of this? Well, there's nothing here. This is all just shite. This is all just, here's some stuff. We can make it make sense or we can not. Whereas this is Sargeras' motivations. Don't do what he wants you to do. Which feels very different. This is the Titans. They have motivations. And don't trust them. They're bad guys. Not necessarily, they're selfish. Don't trust them. Don't do what they want to do. Be careful of that. And then this is, and the Harbinger was given a thing by a Void Lord to do something. And we can connect this and go, well, that implies that she was an old god or a very powerful force. Maybe she was even the old god's manager, who was like, right, well, boys, would you sort this?
She's their fucking talent rep.
Yes.
Yeah.
She sat there going, right, boys, would you get this done? Like, it's sat there, it's on the list. You haven't shipped that. Like, come on, sort it out. And then they go, no, we don't want to do that. Fuck you, and tear it to pieces.
Yeah, and this is also all setting up Darkheart.
Yeah, it's all leading into here's Xal'atath and her origins. Keep that in mind. And they clearly don't expect everyone to see this.
Yeah,
it's just some tease. And they'll have put this here knowing we'll see it. They'll have put it here knowing Wohead will post about it. And we'll talk about it. But that's like for us, right? As opposed to for everyone. But Darkheart's story will be for everyone. So this is them just kind of teasing a little bit of, hey, here's some stuff to think about while we show you the story in a couple months' time. Which is why I'm thinking if they're teasing it and it's short term, the difference in how they're communicating between these is interesting. This feels like they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It could be anything. But this is all about stuff that's literally happening right now that we know. And that's a very big difference in how they're teasing. Very big difference.
Yeah, it feels more like directly intentional versus just, hey, we're going to be esoteric for a bit.
Yeah. There's some esotericism, but even when there is, it's in character basically. And even this, like, chastised with some unseen presence. It's a little bit, but it doesn't need to be much more. And I think that's very, very enjoyable and a very good omen for what's to come.